I would never want anyone to mention anything about my family, so I'd never do it about anyone else. It's not what we do. We're fighters.
2 minutes later.
Dan Hooker couldn't grapple a fucking rapist off his ma. You know what I mean?
Okay, strong statement.
Just going back and forth on Twitter.
They're on the same level, they can do that, so. Trash cans.
Okay, so buckle up because things just went absolutely nuclear between Paddy the Baddy Pimblett and Hangman Dan Hooker on social media, with these two fighters going at each other's throats and completely setting the MMA community on fire. This entire mess started brewing when Paddy made some questionable remarks, and trust me when I say Hooker's raw, unfiltered comeback hit like a freight train and sent everything spiraling out of control instantly. The war of words got so heated that it actually pulled Arman Tsarukyan into the mix, which just made this whole situation even more complicated and dramatic than anyone could have predicted. Things really went off the rails during a recent interview where Paddy Pimblett decided to cross some serious boundaries while trying to mock Dan Hooker's ground game abilities. What started as your typical fighter banter quickly turned into something way more sinister that left tons of people feeling genuinely disturbed and completely shifted the focus away from actual fighting onto the disgusting nature of what was actually said. That one toxic moment created an instant firestorm of outrage that added layers of real animosity to what was already becoming a seriously volatile beef between these fighters.
And a lot of people are saying, like, Justin Gaethje, he's older than that lad. He's 2 years older than Dan Hooker.
That's true.
Dan Hooker couldn't grapple a fucking rapist off his ma.
You better believe Dan Hooker came back swinging hard when he caught wind of what Paddy Pimblett had said, and made it absolutely obvious to everyone that this had become deeply personal territory for him. His response was ice cold with zero traces of humor anywhere to be found, sending a clear message that the playful online back and forth was officially dead and buried. Hooker's exact response was, "It's on site, you fat piece of shit." But fans immediately started calling out Paddy Pimblett for being a complete fraud, because during that same exact interview he had specifically avoided making any comments about Ilia Topuria's family drama, stating clearly that certain boundaries should never be crossed. Right in the heat of their rivalry, he went out of his way to explain that family matters are sacred ground, and that fighters should keep their beef focused on skills and competition while leaving personal lives completely alone. He actually showed genuine class in that moment, saying he hopes everything works out for Ilia and that the family situation gets resolved, which makes his nasty comments about Hooker look even worse.
Never want anyone to mention anything about my family, so I'd never do it about anyone else. It's not what we do. We're fighters. We say what we want about each other. Say anything about me, I'll say anything about him. But don't mention families, you know, that's below the belt. And I wish him nothing but the best with it, lad. I hope it all gets resolved. I hope it all gets resolved and he gets to see his child, lad. That's the main thing. But for now, I'm fighting for the world title. He's sitting on the sideline, so when I win this belt, I'm the champ. Don't care if it says interim on it. When I win this belt, I'm the champ, and if he's not back by June, July, he best have to vacate or get stripped, and I am the champ.
Things escalated even further when Dan Hooker decided to double down with pure rage, calling out Paddy Pimblett for being fake and two-faced, especially since they had been cool when meeting in person. Hooker claimed he genuinely believed they had mutual respect, only to feel completely stabbed in the back when those inflammatory comments went public. What really made people uncomfortable, though, was when Hooker brought up Ricky in his response, which felt completely inappropriate given that Ricky was someone extremely important to Paddy, who tragically died by suicide back in 2022. Adding a seriously dark element to this already nasty situation. Hooker's exact words were, "Ain't said shit. I thought we were mates, but you're not a very good mate, are you, Paddy? R.I.P. Ricky." Paddy Pimblett immediately unleashed hell on Dan Hooker, calling out what he she as a ridiculous overreaction to what was meant as a simple joke about grappling, that somehow led to bringing up someone who had committed suicide. Paddy painted this as the ultimate line crossing, while simultaneously continuing to trash Hooker's fighting abilities, making it clear this beef had reached a point of no return. Paddy fired back with, "Thought we couldn't be mates because I'm ranked above you. You took a hypothetical joke about how bad your grappling is," and responded by talking shit about my mate who committed suicide. Now that's lowest of the low, and on site is fine by me. You're utter dog shit at fighting. While all this chaos unfolded, Arman Tsarukyan basically laughed off the entire online war between Paddy Pimblett and Dan Hooker, making it obvious he doesn't see either guy as elite level competition. He brushed off their whole feud as meaningless drama between two fighters. He considers equals who aren't real factors in the title picture. Anyway.
There's a little conflict going around with Dan Hooker and Paddy Pimblett. I was wondering if you were able to, see it or what you thought about it.
I didn't see what they're doing.
Just going back and forth on Twitter.
They're on the same level. They can do that. So trash cans.
Now let's dive into Arman Tsarukyan, who decided to target Paddy Pimblett's grappling skills, directly questioning whether the baddie is actually dangerous when fights go to the ground. Tsarukyan has no problem dismissing Paddy's supposed reputation in grappling by pointing out that he doesn't regularly face top-level grapplers in training or competition, which creates serious doubts about his actual abilities. Tsarukyan also suggests that recent footage and gym stories only confirm his suspicions that Paddy's ground game isn't nearly as scary as people think when facing truly elite grapplers.
I just want to say he has no grappling. He trains with bull guys. He never compete even the high level. He never compete in jiu-jitsu or grappling. I saw him. He had a fight, grappling fight, and he tapped or he lost. So he's a trash can in the grappling and the wrestling.
Paddy Pimblett wasted zero time firing back at Arman Tsarukyan with brutal shots aimed directly at questioning Arman's own grappling credentials and dominance on the mat. Paddy went hard at undermining any grappling success Arman has had outside of MMA while emphasizing his own complete dedication to Octagon competition only. He made it crystal clear that his entire focus stays locked on MMA fighting rather than what he considers pointless side competitions and grappling tournaments. This exchange got nasty quick as Paddy cleverly portrayed Arman's grappling tournament participation as unnecessary injury risks outside their main sport and used it to add more fuel to their already burning rivalry.
He's been grappling a lot. I know you don't want to talk about him, but how do you feel about his, his grappling tournaments that he's
Lad,
been
I
at?
heard he nearly got triangled by what's his name?
Shara Magomedov.
Yeah, he nearly got triangled by him and he can't grapple to save his life either.
It's a tough
He's a
one.
striker and he nearly got triangled by him. Know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you ever got any interest of taking those sort of exhibition type things? You know, RAF have got this kind of like grappling thing. Is there ever been like a reach out for like let's do a grappling match for Pimblett, or is that?
I don't know. Before I was in the UFC years ago when I was coming back from an injury, I done Polaris one time against Stevie Ray. He caught me in a leg lock. That's like the only one I've done in the past 10 years or something like that. I used to do grappling competitions all the time when I was younger and stuff like that, but obviously I'm focused on fighting now. I don't like, he can go off and do all these other things if he wants, lad, but hopefully he takes his neck doing them.
So here's where things get interesting with Arman Tsarukyan, who had previously shown real interest in being the backup fighter for the highly anticipated Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje matchup. But now he's made it perfectly clear that he refuses to put himself through the brutal torture of cutting weight without having a guaranteed purpose behind it. He went deeper, explaining that despite all the constant speculation about him being the obvious backup choice for such a massive fight, the UFC never actually contacted him with any official proposal. Without that direct communication from the promotion, he sees zero reason to destroy his body going through such extreme physical stress just based on rumors and possibilities. From Tsarukyan's practical perspective, cutting weight is absolutely exhausting and punishing, especially after already going through that nightmare once before with nothing concrete to show for it. He's now completely focused on preserving his health and energy, stating he simply won't torture himself again unless a real confirmed opportunity gets officially presented to him.
I know you've mentioned wanting to be the backup fighter. Have you had any talks with the UFC about actually officially having that position? Because I think you're really the only guy who could be the backup fighter right now.
No, I didn't talk to them, and I wouldn't cut my weight just for money, because it's a hard. But if they ask me, I'll do that. But they didn't ask, so that's why it's better for me not to cut weight and. Just if I cut, I want to fight.
For sure. It's, I mean, cutting weight is so hard.
I already cut in June, and nothing happened, and just I spent, my energy for the training camp, for the weight cut. It's always stress when you cut your weight,
Obviously, Paddy Pimblett immediately placed all the blame directly on Arman for the difficult position he's created for himself. Paddy absolutely destroyed Arman by calling out his notorious weigh-in drama, those controversial scale moments and his annoying pattern of pulling out of fights at the last second. Pimblett stated clearly that these specific behaviors have completely eliminated any legitimate claim Tsarukyan might have to demanding a title shot opportunity. He suggested that fighter reliability and professionalism matter just as much as Octagon performance when earning championship opportunities, and that Tsarukyan has failed miserably in that department.
He is. So what about this fucking Arman fella, dude? What are we saying, this posh cunt?
Fuck him. Simple as, lad. I'm getting sick of getting asked about him and people talking about him. Oh, he should be in this interim title fight. He shouldn't fucking headbutt people at weigh-ins then, should he, lad? And punch fans on us when he's walking out, lad, and pull out a title fight the night before. So as far as I'm concerned, lad, he can eat shit, lad, and fucking, as Dana said, he can get back to the drawing board.
Nice. Get that one out of the way early on Arman Tsarukyan. He could have been in the mix for this fight, but I just feel like there's a lot of ulterior factors that people aren't considering other than just his recent win over Dan Hooker. I know he's a top contender, but there's a whole lot that he's done wrong before, and this is the big Paramount debut.
And lad, people are saying, like, Justin Gaethje, he's older than that, lad. He's 2 years older than Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's like 2 years younger than him.
That's true.
Dan Hooker couldn't grapple a fucking rapist off his ma.
Here's where it gets official, because Dana White himself has confirmed that Arman Tsarukyan's controversial headbutt incident with Dan Hooker during weigh-ins absolutely impacted his career progression in a major way. White directly stated that this incident was a legitimate factor in Tsarukyan missing out on getting a UFC title shot, proving that fighter behavior outside the cage carries serious professional consequences. This stands as a perfect example of how the UFC demands accountability from its athletes beyond just fight performance, emphasizing that maintaining professionalism matters constantly.
I obviously am not one of these fans, but some fans thought Arman should have been the one to get a 155 title pound shot.
We knew that would happen too.
Of course. Did the headbutt play any factor in the decision to not go with him? It did, right?
A lot of things have factored in, you know.
Let's unpack another chapter of the Arman Tsarukyan saga, because he's finally revealed the actual reason behind his controversial withdrawal from the massive UFC 311 fight against Islam Makhachev, and it was due to a serious hernia injury. This information provides crucial context for understanding that controversial pullout decision. Even with having a completely legitimate medical excuse for missing such an important fight, Tsarukyan still faced brutal criticism and backlash from fans and media across the board. He continues dealing with the lasting impact of that difficult choice, perfectly demonstrating how even one withdrawal, regardless of valid reasons, can create permanent damage to a fighter's reputation and career trajectory. It really shows just how ruthless and unforgiving this business can be.
Remember, I think it was in LA, you were gonna fight Islam, you messed up your back. What's the recovery been, you know, for, you know, and like what happened? How did you get injured in your back before the fight versus Islam?
So I did the MRI after the fight, and it shows like I don't know how to explain in English, but I have a gryzha. No.
Translate. Let's see. Hernia.
So I have that thing.
Okay.
And I may need surgery, I may not. So we'll see if it's gonna bother me again. I gotta do surgery.
Gotta remove the hernia.
Yeah, remove it.
Gotcha. So, was it pretty painful?
Yeah, my back was stuck. You know, I couldn't move.
Man.
And then
The drama keeps rolling for Arman Tsarukyan, who got into a serious argument with a prominent MMA analyst regarding Ilia Topuria's potential performance against current champion Islam Makhachev. The analyst claimed that while Topuria could possibly compete at 55 pounds, he definitely wouldn't survive at 170 pounds. Arman responded with serious fire, immediately rejecting that analysis with intense passion. He made it obvious that he doesn't think the analyst has sufficient deep knowledge or understanding about the complex layers of mixed martial arts to make such confident predictions, essentially suggesting the expert was talking beyond his expertise. This back and forth really showed Arman's belief in his own analytical skills and his readiness to challenge established voices in the MMA community.
Topuria and Topuria has no chance. Whatever. You think Topuria can beat Islam?
Yeah.
Bro, you
No, at 170,
MMA,
no.
bro.
At 170, no. At 155, yes.
Like working in an interview guy, you know shit about MMA.
I do. There's no way Ilya Topuria can't.
What's good, bro?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, 165.
No, it's 170 as well.
Bro, Islam fighting 170. He's not 155 fighter.
Yeah, that's why I said at 170 I don't think so, but it's close. But at 155 I think Ilya can beat Makhachev. Yeah, very good. No.
He has just boxing. That's it.
He has grappling too.
Where?
He submitted Bryce Mitchell.
Looking at a completely different angle, the legendary Michael Bisping has made a huge prediction, claiming that Ilya Topuria will successfully defend his title and dominate the division all the way through 2026, confidently stating that nobody currently available has what it takes to dethrone him right now. Bisping does admit that Arman Tsarukyan represents a serious threat lurking in the shadows as a dangerous contender who could definitely cause problems. However, Bisping doesn't expect a fight between these two to materialize anytime soon, suggesting the timing just isn't aligned properly. This potentially leaves Topuria's championship reign relatively unchallenged and stable for the near future, giving him a clear opportunity to build his legacy without facing immediate dangerous opposition.
At 155 pounds, I don't see anyone beating Ilya Topuria. I just don't. Not Paddy. Not Justin. Yeah, all right, there's Arman Tsarukyan out there, and he's the dark horse. Obviously, Paddy and Justin are fighting for the interim title. That's an interesting fight because Justin, better boxer, better wrestling, never uses the wrestling. Even if he did use the wrestling, you wouldn't really want to take Paddy Pimblett down. Paddy's a lot younger, a lot less miles on the clock, a lot less wear and tear. I'm kind of early leaning towards Paddy Pimblett in that fight. But who's the undisputed champ at the end of 2026? So yeah, 2026, Topuria will still be the champ. Yeah, there's Arman Tsarukyan out there, but I don't think that fight will materialize.
Finally, let's examine the brilliant strategic mind of Trevor Wittman, who's dropping some fascinating hints about Justin Gaethje's fight preparation. Wittman suggests that Gaethje is carefully preparing to show a completely different dimension of his fighting style when he potentially faces Paddy Pimblett with special attention. Surprisingly focused on his groundwork, Wittman, who serves as Gaethje's respected coach, clarifies that the team absolutely isn't treating this as a pure striking battle, which might shock some people considering Gaethje's striking reputation. He continues by highlighting the massive amount of intensive training and commitment Gaethje has invested in developing his wrestling and grappling abilities, areas where he's consistently been underestimated by critics. According to Wittman's expert analysis, the main strategy this time centers on taking aggressive initiative from the opening bell instead of simply reacting to situations. This approach means actively implementing Justin's vastly improved control game and his devastating ground and pound as the primary offensive tools.